Welcome to Movie Heaven, Movie Hell with me, Simon Aitken, and
Me?
not Keith
Oh,
Eyles.
sorry. Bit premature like Keith there. It's Mike Tack here.
Yes, Mike is stepping into Keith's shoes this week while he's away in LA, sunning it up and...
Luton Airport, that is.
Yeah. Well, he said, he said he was going to LA, but, he could be in Luton Airport. He could be doing...
He's got a job.
Tom Hanks.
Cleaning.
He could be Forrest Gumpsky.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, hello everybody. It's great to be on this fantastic podcast. And hopefully we won't be rambling on incessantly as much as Keith does, but I'm sure Keith will argue about that with me afterwards.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
Right. So this week's director, Mike picked. So let everybody know who it is.
Horror films are a big part of, has been a big part of my life. And this director has made at least two, which is pretty good going, really top-notch horror films. And the director is Stuart Gordon. And the thing that he's probably most well known for is making one of the films that probably is going to be featuring today, but also he actually is one of the people who co-wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Unbelievable when you actually compare it to some of the output which we're going to discuss this evening. He even got involved in the TV show of it apparently as well.
That's right. Yeah, he directed an episode,
Mm.
but I don't remember ever seeing the TV show.
No, I gave up watching the Disney Channel once I was past 30. So I don't know about you.
So you were like watching up to 29, but then when you hit 30, you was like, nah, I've had enough of this now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
no more Hannah Montana for me.
No, that's right. I'm afraid you've lost that idol. And you've got to replace it with other ones. So
that's it.
Britney Spears then moved in, didn't she? But that's another story. Okay, so this Stuart Gordon's an interesting chap. He originally started off doing some fairly obscure and naughty sort of things in the theatre, didn't he? Have you read anything up on him, Simon?
I did. I don't know much about Stuart Gordon. I remember seeing his films as VHS covers at my local video store.
Yeah.
And I remember always the covers really stood out to me.
Mm.
But I didn't really know much about the guy. But yeah, reading up on him, he was a theatre director doing a lot of these sort of plays which, riled people, were very sort of controversial at the time.
Nudity and Peter Pan was what I heard.
Yes, I read that as well. Which is a theme that sort of, is in his films. He doesn't shy away from nudity.
He likes a bit of the old flesh.
Oh, he does.
Don't we all?
But yes, I was quite surprised to find out that Re-Animator was his first film.
Yeah. And what a calling card that film was, but I'm sure we'll go on to discuss that.
Yes.
It's very, I mean, it'd be really interesting to find out the real story behind how the stars aligned and actually enabled him to direct this film,
Well, I saw an interview with him and the producer.
Brian Usner.
Yeah, who went on to direct Bride of Re-Animator.
Yeah.
And what it was is that Brian was looking for a director to do... they were going to do Re-Animator as a miniseries, TV series.
Oh, right.
And they were looking for a director to come on board, and he went to see one of Stuart Gordon's plays. And at the end of it, Stuart came up on stage and was talking to the audience, asking for feedback, and he thought this was really great, He thought, wow, this guy knows what he's doing, and he's sort of, you know, talking to his audience and this stuff. So he approached him to come on board, but Stuart Gordon wanted to make it into a feature film. So they went down that route, and of course at the time it was one of the most successful low budget horror films ever.
Still is. Interestingly enough, so Stuart Gordon must have gone up on stage, and then he's doing the stage play with Peter Pan naked or whatever it was, and then this guy says, I want you to direct this horror thing, and then straight away he's like, no, I want to do a feature. I mean, he must have had some interest in doing a feature film. I can't remember in his bio whether he actually did some TV stuff before.
Well, according to his IMDb page, he did a TV movie called Bleacher Bums, which is like a film of his stage play that he was putting on. So they did a TV movie. So
he was in there somehow. He must have worked his way up to,
it just sounds like that. It was one of those things where, as you say, the stars aligned. That this guy happened to come and see his show, and he came on stage and made an impression, and that was enough. And it just went from there.
Was there obviously a lot of he's been tied in with Lovecraftian themes and films and stories. I wonder whether any of the early stuff actually had any Lovecraftian elements to it, whether that's something he was already into or whether it's something he got into afterwards.
It's a good question. Well,
but we haven't got the answer.
No.
Yeah, okay, well, let's move on quickly.
Well, you know, see, Mike, you go to a lot of horror film festivals and stuff, so Stuart Gordon might turn up at one. You can ask him.
I will do. Once I've got him to sign the Blu-ray cover, the excellent Blu-ray, which MGM have released, and what do they call it? Hollywood Classics. This is my film, which we're going to get, which is basically my favorite Stuart Gordon film is going to be From Beyond, H.P. Lovecraft's From Beyond, which I've got the Blu-ray here because originally I had it on an import from Holland because the region coding on DVDs is the same from Holland. So because I've got the really super uncut version of Re-Animator, which I'm sure we will be crossing over talking about, and also I got the full version pretty much of the Beyond, and the pictures quality is stunning, absolutely top drawer. Anyway, the main thing I'm talking about this is, apart from that cheesy artwork that looks so good, and I know what you mean, it's not like a photograph or a still from a film, it's proper artistic, like an artist has painted something. And you've seen my house with all my Hammer film posters up on the wall. That's what I love, the artwork that goes into these things. So it's got a great cover.
So Mike, when was the first time you saw From Beyond?
Well, I saw From Beyond when it came out. I remember seeing it as a trailer, and I think it was a trailer when I hired Re-Animator on VHS. So From Beyond was released in '86, and Re-Animator was released in '85. And Re-Animator was such a big hoo-ha about how fantastic this film was. But on it then had this trailer for From Beyond, and that trailer with all the vivid colors and really fucked up looking makeup effects and everything just really attracted my attention. When I was 23 then, so but I was a young 23. I was still a teenager, still am now really, and I was like, wow, I've got to get to see that film, got to get to see it. And I wasn't disappointed when I got the VHS, which is why I was so pleased that all those grainy, VHS copies with tracking marks on are gone. I've got this beautiful Blu-ray, and what I was trying to get to was I've got it signed by Ken Faree,
nice.
who's one of the stars. I met him, and I took this cover with me actually all the way out to the States when I was out there, and he signed it. And again, I managed to get a free signature off of one of these celebrities because I just massaged his ego and chatted to him for a bit. Yeah, so this stars Jeffrey Combs in the lead one of the main lead roles. He was the guy from Re-Animator, which we'll talk about. Barbara Crampton, this blonde, fit actress, who for one of the things that I liked this film was because I think she was really hot, and she recently appeared after a big hiatus of not appearing in much. She was in the that horror film we saw last year. Their Next, was it last year? Yeah, one with the animal heads. Was that
was the year before at Fright
Next?
Fest? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the thing about their next, or your next. Sorry, your next.
Next, yeah.
Was that I always thought the mother looked too young. I thought, wow, she doesn't look old enough. And then
what you thought to yourself was, hey, she looks pretty good. Definitely. Definitely MILF candidate there.
But, I mean, yeah, so
she's gorgeous.
I've now, because I hadn't seen From Beyond, so I've watched it for this podcast, and so when I saw her, I went, oh, I recognise her. Where do I recognise her from? And it was from Your Next.
You could see her from the lavatory, could you? On the TV
screen. Is that where you watch your films from, Mike?
That's where I watched this one from, mate. I tell you. Right. So for all you all listeners who haven't watched From Beyond, and hopefully we'll be checking this out, especially on the fantastic Blu-ray. And I'm not getting any money from these people because it's got loads of extra features and all that sort of stuff. You've got this guy called Dr. Edward Pretorius, played by Ted Sorrell. He's a scientist who's developed this thing called a resonator. It's like a Frankenstein type electric powered machine, and it creates a resonating tone. And anything within range of this machine, if you're within range of it, you can see things from another dimension, creatures and things like that. And the thrust of the story is basically the film opens up with this machine being turned on, and Pretorius is bitten by one of the creatures, and his assistant, Crawford Tillinghast, played by Jeffrey Combs, wants him to turn it off, and he doesn't. And what happens is Pretorius claims that the machine is giving him an, quote, orgasm of the mind. So you can see where this film's going. And Crawford, escapes Pretorius's attic laboratory with an axe and flees outside. And when they arrive, the cops arrive, and Pretorius has actually been decapitated. So they cart Crawford off for the murder. And that's then we then are then introduced to the gorgeous Barbara Crampton, who wears these massive Deirdre Barlow-sized glasses. If you've seen Coronation Street, in order to, it's like, oh, we've got some young hottie. Let's try and make her look intelligent and that she'd actually be a good psychiatrist or qualified. So let's slap some big glasses on here, big ass glasses.
I did read in the trivia that she was considered too young for the role.
She was, but Stuart Gordon said insisted. No. He wanted her, because she was and that again, she was in Re-Animator. So it's a bit like a Hammer film thing, which I love, is that they do another horror film with a totally different sort of story, and they bring their sort of actors that have been with them from the last film, like Cushing and Lee, etc.
I mean, Jeffrey Combs is great in this film. He's really good.
Well, you got to be good because the things that are going on are so wild and untamed and bizarre that if the guy that's in there in the situation doesn't believe it and is really committed to it, then you're not going to buy into it either. And I think that's one of the strengths of Combs was a real find actually, because like Peter Cushing, when he talks with some gravity and you believe him. So the story is basically Crawford has a brain scan, and there's a thing called a pineal gland, which is meant to be like the third eye in a human being, and it's not the third eye in a cat, but in a human being, it's on the front of your forehead, in the middle, above your bridge of your nose, and this has been enlarged, and this allows him to, see things. So she gets, because she's like really hot to trot and make a lot of headway and make a name for herself, she persuades him and gets the authorities to let her take him back to the house, okay, to check out this resonator. So Detective Bubba Brownlee, which is Ken Faree, is the bloke that's tasked with looking after him, you know, like a security guard, policeman or whatever. This is when the shit really starts to go down. So they go to the house, the machine's reactivated, which shows all these little sort of, they look like amoebas or something flying around the air. And then
they look like eels crossed with piranhas.
Yeah, that's it. That's a very good description. That's exactly what they're like. And they're quite large.
Yes.
And the effects are quite good. Even holds up quite well today, I think. This is the thing. I think this film definitely holds up for me. I mean, okay, you got a bit of the 80s hairstyle with on the ladies, you know.
Yes.
But if forgetting all that sort of obvious stuff and fashions and everything, the effects, which and what I'm going to lead on to, are fantastic. So anyway, so Pretorius suddenly appears when this resonator comes on, and he looks hideous. He's all sort of deformed, and he's got all this amazing effects work with all practical effects, prosthetics, and slime. This is where you really got a lot of good slime in the mix. Now, so this came out in '86. When was The Thing?
Oh, The Thing was 82.
Yeah, so obviously these guys... is it Buchler? John Buchler did the special. Mark Shostrom. Now these guys, I'm sure, were involved in some space type effects as well for Star Wars. Wasn't Shostrom involved in Star Wars?
I don't know.
That rings a bell with me. I'll have to look at that. But anyway,
okay.
This hideously deformed geezer comes out, and basically he's sort of active in this world. And he tells them that there's this world beyond, which is more pleasurable. And then when Crawford goes to touch him, his body breaks apart. And Bubba then draws his gun, shoots the doctor, and the resonator gets turned off. And immediately the creatures vanish. It's like, being able to see into a parallel universe. The resonator turns off.
Yeah.
So, cut a long story short, there's a bit of this Pretorius fella, it's revealed, was into S&M, and he's got all this S&M gear and like a rack and all this sort of stuff in the other room, and the what's her name, Barbara Crampton, Catherine Michaels, wants the machine turned on because she thinks this all might lead to a cure for, is it schizophrenia?
Yeah, there's that, but she's also she's turned on by it as well.
Well, yeah, I was getting
because there's a whole sequence where she's
don't spoil it for me.
No, but I mean they've all gone to bed, sleep, and she can't sleep.
Yeah, she basically starts putting on this S&M gear because obviously the effects of this, it's almost like the resonator has some residual effects on.
Yeah, I think no, there's I think. So there's the first time they turn it on and they see him, and then the second time she turns it on while they're all sleeping.
This is where I think maybe I think for me the film is saying there's like a residual. It's like you've been tainted with something. There's something still with you when you've been exposed to this, like radiation or whatever. And she turns it on, and we get a little bit of nudity, which is great. Because she's got a fit body, for her age at that time. Beautiful. So she gets her clothes ripped off by this horribly slime-covered monster.
That's right.
He says he wants to eat her mind and take her to the world of beyond. So there's a scene where Crawford and Ken Faree, Bubba, go down into the basement, and there's like, I don't know, that must have been quite tricky. They had basically like a swimming pool in this area.
They did, with a giant worm in it.
The giant worm that zooms up and grabs him over his head with his massive jaws. It does look like a ventilation duct covering rubber that's been animated, but it's pretty good.
The version I watched, it looked really good. I wouldn't say there was anything kind of like cheap about it. It didn't look like...
No, it's quite a good tentacle, piping. Wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it jumps up and it grabs Crawford and starts eating him.
Yeah.
And of course, Bubba's able to sort of turn the power off by the fuse.
That's right. So,
and of course, it disappears. And of course, Crawford's lost all his hair. And that was like, fucking hell, that's really freaky.
Yeah, it does look freaky. Because once this has gone on, this is where she gets the S&M unit out, and she wears all this really nice S&M gear and mounts him and offers to do all sorts of things to him in order to turn the resonator back on. There's some great lines in this, like, you know, humans are such easy prey. Plus Bubba comes out with some quite humorous lines, which I can't remember off the top of the head. Something like him getting a hard on or something because of the resonator. Anyway,
Ken Foree's very good in it. He does bring very much comic relief to it.
Yeah.
Because you know, Crawford's very sort of straight and on level, and the Catherine McMichaels, the Barbara Crampton character, she's very, you know, she's trying to sort of get down to the truth. And of course, Ken Foree's character is just like, you know, I'm just here because it's a job. And I was like, you know, he's like the audience going, fucking hell, this is really weird.
It is weird, but it works for me, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's this great scene where this great big, like, I don't know, it's like a probe that comes out of his pineal gland and gets enlarged.
That's
and it
right.
opens
Yeah,
up through the front of his skull, and
it's like a worm, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a little miniature eye on the end of a stick, like a worm thing.
Yeah.
That comes out, and they short circuit the machine. The machine sort of I can't remember. It turns itself on at some point.
Yeah.
So Pretorius has got some control from the other side, and each time he appears, he's more hideous, isn't he?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. He's more creature-like than human.
Yeah. So they go back to the hospital, and what happens is there's a nurse there who's a real bitch to her because she's young and she's qualified, and this is actually Stuart Gordon's wife.
Yes,
Carolyn Purdy Gordon, cool. And
that's right.
She's been in most of his films, apparently.
That's right, and she was, you know, in most of his stage plays as well. So.
That's right, yeah. So they're a team, and they've been doing it for a long time. And she's a good actress.
He does have a habit of killing her off in like every film.
Well, I do that as well in my films, funnily enough. It's quite therapeutic. Yeah, he does, and actually, he didn't. Dario Argento did that as well. I think it's
Dario who?
Yeah, I think it's one of the.
Do you mean Dario Argento?
Yeah, I think it's Dario Argento killed his wife off in those films. What are you talking about? We laughed before. He did. Dario Nicolodi, that was his wife.
Oh, right.
And she was the one who got shot in the eye in Tenebrae. Yeah, and she, I think she. Well, we'll talk about Dario Argento maybe if you do one of these things at some point. But
Dario who?
Well, I know he's crap now, but he did make some. I know you don't like him, but I thought he made some cracking films early on, and I
never said I don't like him. I didn't say that at all.
I have a theory about him anyway. Is that doing a Keith Eyles I digress moment?
Yes.
Basically, his early films, when he was with his wife Daria Nicolodi, or Nickelodeon, or whatever her name is, I think she had a lot of influence on his work.
Okay.
And there's a massive drop in the quality of his work when he's not with her anymore. And I don't think anyone has ever actually looked at that, because I think she made a lot of contributions to his films. Not only she was in them, but I think if you're someone's wife, he'll look at a story, she might go, actually, dear, that's a bit crap. Don't think you should do that. How about this one about witches? And why don't we have it coloured? And she probably gave him all his best ideas anyway.
Probably. I mean, I've heard that theory before.
But it's probably me that told you.
One of the many things we've spoken about at Fright Fest. But yeah, I can believe that. I mean, you know, I really like Argento's early work. I mean, again, he's a director who I've only sort of found recently.
Yeah.
But of course, the first film I got to see
Hmm.
of his was Giallo, which was fucking awful.
Oh, the one with Adrian Brody.
Yes, as the Yellow Killer.
It was
Sorry, spoilers.
shit, that
It
film.
was. It was very shit.
The best film, the most recent, even I actually think The Card Player was okay. If you've ever seen The Card Player.
No, I've not seen The Card Player.
But the one before that, which was called Sleepless, that was a return to form.
Okay.
I think it's called Il Sonno, Il Nonno or something, which means sleepless. I do not know any Italian. So that was a cracking little film. But anyway, it is funny how he falls into the John Carpenter, my later years, my films are crap sort of variety. Yeah. Back to Stuart Gordon and From Beyond. What happens is he kills his wife off because Crawford now is like a zombie who wants to eat brains all the time, and his pineal gland pops out, like a tortoise's head coming out of the shell occasionally, but about 6 inches longer. And he sucks out his Carolyn Purdy's Gordon's brains through her eye socket, which I think was pretty cool idea, really. And that was one of the scenes that was cut from the BBFC version originally, and has now been restored in its glory on the Blu-ray release.
Yeah, watching that scene, I couldn't quite understand why it was taken out because it wasn't that graphic. I mean, you see an eyeball.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't actually see brains coming out or anything.
I think what they do when they look at these films is they're watching the film, then they get one scene that they go, hold on a minute, there's too much of this, and they decide to say no, highlight it, maybe I don't know. Have you seen the uncut version?
I believe I saw the uncut version. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it again, maybe when all the family's out the house. So it all leads to a big, like a big sort of conclusion, and they all end up going back to the house, and the house gets, something happens at the end. I don't want to spoil it, really. Let's not spoil the end of the film, but suffice to say that it has some great lines in it. One of them is, "It bit his head off like a gingerbread man." Which is one of my favourite lines. So From Beyond, not The Beyond, the Fulci film, From Beyond is shot with lots of garish colours, purples and pinks.
Yes, lots of pinks.
Yeah, which is a bit of a, talking of Dario, he used a lot of broad colours like that in Suspiria, didn't he? His lighting and the colours he used in that were fantastic. And it gives another otherworldly feel, doesn't it?
And don't forget the pink sewers from Vamp.
Yes, I remember the pink sewers from Vamp. I do like Vamp, actually. It's a great film as well. So, really, for me, this film had Barbara Crampton in S&M gear. It had Ken Faree with some great one-liners. It had a cool Lovecraftian, Lovecraftian story. Was it Lovecraft? Yes.
Yes.
And at the time I was playing some video games with Lovecraftian themes. I can't remember the names of them right now. I know I was Alone in the Dark. Not only was it a Lovecraftian game, but it was pretty much my status when I was ever watching any of these films. I was alone in the dark when I was watching them.
Right.
Yeah. And but yeah, Lovecraft. I love the idea of these weird. He's always about things from another dimension, wasn't he? Really fucked up creatures. And if you think about it, the design of the monsters I thought was superb. The gore was awesome. Even the bit where Dr. Pretorius's head is, it's his real head, but then they stuck all this prosthetics on to make this freaky body and everything. It still looked great, better than Hellraiser did when you could see the big monster at the end and see them literally pushing the wheeled cart with the monster.
Yeah, that was just unfortunate, the camera framing of that, because it just gone over a little bit to the left, you wouldn't have seen the wheels.
I know, and you would.
I think, but I mean, at the time, did you notice that when I first saw for Hellraiser, that creature freaked the hell out of me, and I wasn't looking at seeing any wheels on there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You can pick holes in things. If you get any.
Well, you guys remember that when we watched these films for the first time, it was on VHS 4:3, so all that kind of stuff was framed out.
Yeah,
you could quite easily frame that stuff out. It's only with like DVD and Blu-ray when we finally got to see them in their proper widescreen presentation. That's true, yeah. Sometimes you saw these sort of cracks in there.
Yeah, so I think the effects were top notch. He did a good job with a great little cast, a small ensemble cast as well. And in fact, the cast list is almost identical to Re-Animator. But the reason I didn't choose Re-Animator as my favourite film is just because I enjoy the sick story of the Beyond, because there's plenty of flesh in these other films. Again, Barbara Crampton. So thanks for that, Barbara. You've I'm sure you've embellished many young men's lives over the years. And long may you do so.
Well, that leads us nicely to my pick for Movie Heaven, which is Re-Animator. Which is not not a surprise to anybody, because I think we just mentioned it so many times. But yes, Re-Animator was one of the films I saw when I was into my really getting into horror films in my teenage years.
And what a horror film to get into!
I know, it was like I remember seeing this with films like Dawn of the Dead,
classic,
Hellraiser, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Exorcist 3, and it was, there was one of the films I would sort of rent from my local video shop and stuff, and I remember really enjoying this film, and I hadn't watched it in a while, so I went back to watch it. It still holds up. It's still a lot of fun. I think Jeffrey Combs in it is great, and it's probably his best role ever.
Yeah, I agree there.
Yeah. So if you don't know the story, it's about a medical student by the name of Herbert West, and he is working with a famous German doctor who's trying to work on a formula to bring back the dead. Now, at the beginning, you see Herbert West using the formula on the doctor in Germany, and of course, his head explodes.
I was going to say, don't his eyes like go bulge out and explode?
Yeah.
His
head explodes, and of course, this happens in front of like another professor and some security guards, and you think, and then next thing you know, he's moved to America, and I do wonder why he isn't arrested.
Maybe it's legal in Germany.
You tried to reanimate your fallen professor. We'll let you off this time.
Frankenstein would be proud.
Yes. Yes. So
little plot hole there then.
Just a little bit, but I think they needed to start the film, because this is the one thing I noticed with Stuart Gordon with his films, is that there's no preamble.
He doesn't fuck around, does he? He just goes bang. Have that.
No, you're straight into it. So with From Beyond, you don't know who Jeffrey Combs' character is, or the
Dr. Pretorius.
You're just boom. They've built the machine. He's switching it on, and there you are. You're seeing it from that point.
Yeah.
And you don't know. You don't know who these people are. You don't know how long they've been building this machine. You're just straight into the action, and off you go. And it's it's kind of the same with this. I think they needed to sort of just have something at the beginning to show this formula and what it can do, and just have a scare or an effect just to start the film. And of course, if the German authorities then arrested him, then that would be no film, would there?
Well, that's right.
Be no film.
He didn't reanimate anyone.
No. But yeah, so we cut to America, and we meet a doctor called Dan Kane, played by Bruce Abbott.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him trying to revive a woman who's just died. And yeah, and having no luck at all, No. And he's, you can see why he would be somebody who would see
be interested
in Herbert West's formula. Yeah. What happens is then Herbert West becomes roommates with Dan Kane, who is seeing Barbara Crampton's character called Megan, who's the daughter of the dean. And they're trying to keep their relationship secret. And so he moves in, and he quite likes the place because it's got a basement.
Who wouldn't?
Well, yes, every mad scientist needs somewhere to practice their art, and so.
Well, Frankenstein sort of did it in the loft, didn't he? So he's gone the other opposite way. He's gone into the basement.
The basement, yeah. And so Dan Kane's character is woken up. Oh, sorry, Dan Kane is woken up by this sounds of this howling, and he doesn't know what the hell it is. Oh no, wait a minute, I skipped a bit. I skipped the bit where they find the dead cat in his fridge.
Yeah.
And they think that he's murdered him. And it's just a wonderful scene, isn't it? It's like
well, I'm a cat lover, so it's the only issue I have is I actually don't like seeing animal cruelty in any films, to be honest with you. So no, I know it was a stuffed cat. I know I'm stupid like that, but
well, I don't know. Maybe he did kill a cat. But his excuse is just great. It's like, well, I found it dead. I was just keeping it in the fridge to, so it wouldn't smell. And what would you rather? I read a note, found your cat, it's dead. I was going to tell you.
I think he definitely probably killed it.
Yes, I actually just thinking about it, just as I'm saying it.
Cats don't just drop over normally like that, do
they? No, and not in such pristine condition as well.
Well, it was also their cat. It was someone in the flats cat. It wasn't just someone random cat off the street or anything. It was one of their own.
Their cat, yeah.
Which obviously ties in with the story as well.
Yeah. So Dan Kane wakes up and he hears this howling, and of course Herbert West has used this formula on the cat, and it's going berserk. Because that's the thing about this reanimating formula, is that it does bring back people, but they come back really sort of wired.
Yeah,
they it's like they've been given a shot of adrenaline and they just can't help themselves. They just gotta, go mad.
Well, it's almost, to me, it's like the whole process of reanimating. To me, it seems like he said to them, "Look, you've got rigor mortis, so when you come back, you're suffering all this pain from the rigor mortis and everything."
Well, I think it's more akin to is it Rage from 28 Days Later?
Yeah,
they've been infected. Well, with this formula, it's like a massive. It's like they've been hit with this massive voltage that's supercharged them, and they just have to. That's what they're reacting to. That's why they're so violent and sort of all over the place.
Yeah, super adrenaline. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's only one of the actual reanimated bodies has any kind of control. Because the rest of them, they just seem to be very much mindless zombies.
Yeah. For some reason, I think that was it Return of the Living Dead, the one where the guys are in this mortician's place where they supply.
Yes.
And then there's a bit where he said he's actually dead, and he says, "Oh, my arms ache and everything," and all that sort of stuff. That to me is where I got that from. Really, that sort of feeling that when they're reanimated, they're not only are they wired, but they're also in pain, and they're just like, that's where the aggression comes from. But so carry on. So it's all good so far. It's green goo, isn't it? That's in this glow stick.
It is. Apparently. It's very glowing. This stuff is.
Apparently, it's the first time a glow stick liquid was ever used on film.
Ah.
So there you go.
It works really well. It works really well because it does give that. a different sort of look. It does make it look like it could bring people back to life.
Yeah. So we all know what's going to go on from here. So I mean, there is humour. You know the cat when it gets reanimated, don't they smash it around and he goes?
Oh God, that's so hilarious because you can see Jeffrey Combs holding on to it. It's one of those sort of fake cat fights where you can see it's the actor who's being moved around and it's not the cat that's moving him. But still, it was enjoyable because it was just so funny.
Wasn't there a in that scene? Now I might be wrong. Where the light, there's like a hanging light that gets knocked, and they
yes,
and that is very Psycho to me. You know the bit in Psycho where
I'd seen that bit. It looked like it was just looks like an accident that happened.
Well, the music is a very interesting thing, isn't it? It's very it's almost like Psycho's theme, isn't it?
It is Psycho's theme. They just changed the tuning of it.
Seems very similar, doesn't it?
Did you ever see Road to Fright Fest?
Yes.
Do you remember when they were doing the bit out of Twilight Zone, the movie, where they're driving along?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And they did the bit about let's do the horror music.
Yeah.
And he goes, at his last one, he does this Re-Animator theme. Because Adam Green's going, that's Psycho, no Re-Animator. And he then sort of demonstrates the difference. And it is this
it's very
is like
subtle,
an extra, it's just like a note or two. It's literally the same tune.
And amazingly enough, they got away with it.
Yeah. I guess Bernard. Well,
it's the beauty of
I don't
music.
know. Was Bernard Herrmann still around in '85?
I don't know.
No,
I have no idea.
Maybe he was a fan.
But
I mean, it works. I have to say, out of the 4 films we watched, this is probably the best of the scores.
Yeah, I mean, I think From Beyond had that wow sort of techno weird sort of noise when the resonator
it wasn't
started up, and
there wasn't really like a sort of theme tune or anything that you could sort of hook onto like you can with Re-Animator.
Although the resonator sound effects were later sampled in the song Intergalactic by the Beastie Boys. Not that I've heard that either, but they nicked it. So so everyone is stealing off of everyone else.
I know.
Which goes back to that Facebook post that you did recently.
But I mean, at the end of the day, people borrow stuff from other people, so
absolutely.
And as I say, the Re-Animator has a memorable theme tune, even though it's Psycho.
Yes, right. So for you, if you don't, I don't suppose you need to go through the whole plot, really. I mean, maybe if people can, because I notice, you can give away a bit too much of it. But for you,
I think if they haven't seen this film by now, it's
that's true.
It's 1985. This film came out. It's a bit late to spoil it if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to talk about these films, and to sort of talk about them in some great detail, you need a bit of spoilage in there.
Yeah.
I know we try not to sort of reveal everything, but if we want to talk about certain points, then we have to sort of spoil the film.
So the thing carry on, if you talk about what you like about Re-Animator, I can tell you what I like about it. But
well, for me, Jeffrey Combs, he just steals the show every time he's on screen. He's great. It's that sort of deadpan delivery he does that makes it funny, because he's very blinkered to everything else going around him, because all he cares about is perfecting this formula. I mean, even the point when
he's obsessed.
He is absolutely obsessed. I mean, the bit where he decapitates Dr. Carl Hill, who is the sort of the villain of the piece.
Yeah, he's played very well, isn't he?
Oh, he's by David Gale.
David Gale.
Brilliant.
He is very good.
And of course, he knows this guy is like, has caused him trouble in the past. He's accused him of stealing the research from his from the professor he was studying under.
Yeah.
And so when he decapitates him, he can't help himself but to bring back the head and the body. He's like, oh, I haven't done parts before.
Yeah,
and he just
this
sees
is
it
where
as a
it gets
chance to.
really interesting now, the film, doesn't it?
That's it. Because then suddenly you have an antagonist for them. Somebody who's, he steals the formula and starts trying to use it for his own wicked deeds. I mean, yeah.
Because he obviously fancies Barbara Crampton.
Yes.
Along with the rest of us.
I have a feeling, Mike, if you were a decapitated head with a body, that you would go back and
I would.
And grab Barbara Crampton as well.
Absolutely. I would lick my way across the floor.
Oh man, that was that. I have to say, I have to give Barbara Crampton her due, because that scene when she wakes up in the morgue, and there's a head licking her.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the uncut version. Don't forget, because we weren't allowed to see that in the UK because of the draconian bullshit censorship laws that we had to put up with. So we didn't. I didn't even. I mean, I even saw, this is the thing in like horror mags and stuff like that, especially something like Fangoria, which is the heyday of the magazine and these films, was that they'd show us still, and there's like this head, and she'd be sort of naked on this table, and you think, hold on a minute, where was that in the bloody film?
Yeah,
we're missing out here, and. Maybe I can't remember whether the unrated version actually came out, because we did for a while get unrated versions on all the video nasties and videos, didn't we?
I'm not sure.
For the most part, I know I did. I saw Dawn of the Dead, and that was totally uncut.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get to see these films until sort of the mid-90s onwards.
Yeah.
So
you didn't have to put up with all that crapola.
No.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, I knew about it.
I mean, I used to hunt down videos. I used to find collectors and people like that, and they'd say, I've got the total uncut version of Opera by Dario Argento, and those are the days when you'd have this little network of like people that would give, I know in those days didn't have email, so you'd write to him or something, and then he would then send you a list photocopied or of handwritten of all the films he could supply you. And what he'd do, he'd charge you X amount of money, and he'd burn them onto these videotapes.
Yeah.
And this is totally sort of off topic, but this is really interesting, because I got, I'm sure I got Re-Animator on one of these, but because he was such a cheapskate, so he's from up, I don't know, some depressed northern area, where obviously he had to try and supplement his income going down the pits by selling these video nasties. He would over tape. Remember that, where you have a tape and then you'd over tape it, and then when you got to the end of it, you'd suddenly be revealed some other garbage or whatever that you'd taped it over.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching this with one of my mates, and I was always the decadent one who introduced people younger than myself to all of this nastiness that I was reveling in. And anyway, we watched this film, and then at the end and obviously VHS, when it was well worn, there was this film on there, and it was this really bizarre thing of this bloke in a garden, and then this woman gets her arm sawn off, and then there's something else, but it was because the quality was so shit. It actually looked like a snuff film, and one of my mates was severely disturbed, and even to this day, he's like, 48 or something. I says, so do you want to see if I get a good copy? Do you want me to get They Don't Mow Lawns Here Anymore? And he says, no. And that's what the film's called, They Don't Mow Lawns Here Anymore. It looked like a really amateurish. I'd love to track it down and just see how bad it is. There's these guys with these weird masks and going, it's like a slasher film, but the acting was appalling. But it really,
Was that the film you bought, or was that the film it was taped over?
That was a film it was taped over. So he'd got some other bizarre shit, and then the further you went, because obviously the tapes then went on from like an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours. A 180 tape, wasn't it? That was a 180.
Yeah.
And if you got a 240 tape, then Christ knows what else you were going to find lurking at the back of the tape. But that was part of the charm. It's like opening a Pandora's box.
I remember going to one of those sort of video fairs out in Watford.
All right.
And I think this must have been near the end of it, because, but yeah, they had like, they would have copies of films like The Hills Have Eyes and The Exorcist and stuff, and they always be in these like really, they'll either be in like a cardboard box that the tape came in originally, or they would have it in this like black plastic. So it wasn't even like the hard plastic, it was that sort of really flimsy stuff that video rentals used to come in when they first came out. I was really interested in all this stuff, but I never bought it because it just looked
taboo.
Really, not taboo, but it looked really crap. It did look like somebody had taped it off the, you know, probably like several generations old and stuff. And as I say, by that point, things were changing anyway. So films that were being banned were sort of coming out, being released. Because I don't know if you remember, but Reservoir Dogs was banned on video.
Yeah, because of the ear razor scene.
But it was only banned for a short while. I think it was a year or two, and it came out because there was such a demand for it. So I think at that point they just started realizing that, you know, people want to watch this kind of stuff, and you know, banning it is just stupid.
So Simon, so we've got the head between the legs of Barbara Crampton, and then he drags it up near her nipples and all sorts, doesn't he? I mean, you've
got that wrong, mate. She starts, it's nipples first, and then works her way down. It's when he gets down to sort of the crotch area, he's interrupted by Herbert West. So it's that is actually kind of cut short.
I feel sorry for the poor bastard that was in the suit that had no head. You got to. The director must say, right now, just wave your arms, move over here. I mean, I don't know whether you could see out of that thing, but it was really good. I mean, the effects. Yes. Let's mention it again. The effects were awesome.
Yeah.
Really good.
I saw an interview with Stuart Gordon talking about the effects and stuff, and he said what they did was they used a whole lot of different effects, so you could never quite guess how they were doing it.
Yeah.
I was sort of saying it was a lot of theatre tricks that they used to sort of...
Which is interesting, because that's his background, isn't it?
Yeah. It works very well, because you know, I mean, by today's standards, you can tell it's a guy in a suit, but it still looks really good.
Yeah.
And it doesn't throw you off the story at all. You're not going there going, wow,
and
that looks really bad.
He doesn't hold back, does he, Stuart Gordon? He doesn't hold back on the blood. I mean, 25 gallons of blood apparently were used in the film.
That's right.
And see, I'm nicking all the trivia that you were going to throw in. And he doesn't hold back, you know. And she was quite, you know, she was a young actress, and how he talked her into stripping off in both, you know, actually she stripped off more in that film than she did in From Beyond. Was that right? I think
that's right, yeah.
And that wasn't just a fake head; that was the actor's real head looking right up between a muffin.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Isn't it? He had the best job on the shoot, didn't he?
I think it was probably one of the reasons why he agreed to do it. It was probably
for free.
A perk. I don't know about free. I'm sure he got paid.
Yeah,
I know the budget's like under $1 million. So,
but the story was clever the way he had this sort of old man leching after this young hottie, and then
he kept a file on her, didn't he?
Yeah, that's a bit twisted as well, isn't it? It's so I love it. I love all this twisted shit in his films. It's really good. As I said, you know, when they who actually wrote this script? Because I know that the story that From Beyond was based on apparently was only 7 pages long. So
that's right. Okay, well, I've actually got the writing credits here. It's H.P. Lovecraft is credited as story, which is Herbert West, Re-Animator, and screenplay is Dennis Paoli, William Norris, and Stuart Gordon.
All right.
So there's 3 screenplays.
Because it's sort of mutated, just like the film, into more of a Frankenstein thing. You know, it's meant to be a parody, wasn't it? Really. So they did plan to have this dark humour in there, which is very much a Gordon thing as well, isn't it?
That's right.
He likes his black humour.
I think this film, you don't see his wife get killed. I don't remember her being killed in it.
No, I can't remember.
She actually survives.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who? We can't forget talking about the worst security guard ever who works at the mall.
Yeah.
Every time somebody turns up, it's like, it's break time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He's got it sussed, doesn't he? The dead can't talk.
Even when you see one of these reanimated corpses come charging out of the morgue, he's like, "Oh, I'm out of here."
There's some great set pieces in that middle section, isn't there?
Yes.
Talk about the bit with the really muscular guy. Apparently, he was
the first one, yeah.
That muscular guy. Who played him? I read somewhere that he the muscular guy that gets. Has he got no head?
No, he does.
No, he has. He's just mental, isn't he?
Yeah, because he's. I think because he's not fresh, that he's been. Like, he died quite a while. He doesn't have like any brain matter left.
Was he hanging up on a hook?
No.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it in a while. I should have watched it.
No, everybody was always on like a medical table.
That's right, in a big plastic bag wrapped around them, wasn't it? Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so he goes barreling through a door, and doesn't it flatten someone?
Yeah, it does. Oh, it flattens the Dean.
And the Dean is the dad of Barbara Crampton, isn't it?
That's right, because the zombie actually kills him, and they reanimate him, and of course, that's when Dr. Hill then sort of realizes that Herbert West is onto something.
Yeah,
because he discovers through a lobotomy that
that's right,
the Dean's actually dead.
Wasn't there quite a graphic scene on that lobotomy as well? Wasn't there?
Not really, no, because he's developed this new laser technique of lobotomy, so it's kind of like a laser beam. I don't remember there being a like a really in-depth lobotomy.
I'm getting confused. Happens at my age. I've seen so many of these
horror films mixed up. Yeah, I mean, it was really done very well for its budget. You could tell there was restraints, but they just sort of built the story within those restraints, so it worked really well.
Was this one of these films that was filmed in Rome, like Somewhere From Beyond? Because I know that they did a lot of these films in Italy, didn't they? Because of Charles and Richard Band, they were Empire Pictures, weren't they?
Yeah, I think Re-Animator was shot in LA.
Oh right, okay.
I don't know about the other films. They probably were filmed in Rome. I mean, you know, Hollywood has a history of filming abroad because it's cheaper to do it than to actually film in LA. So
I think the studio stuff they would have filmed possibly abroad, maybe locations they filmed external, but interior locations I think you might find a lot of them were actually shot in Italy, because that was definitely something that they did.
Well, I don't know,
but the morgue looked great, didn't it? The morgue looked very convincing.
I have to say, I think it looked like location. I didn't look like a set.
But they had so much claret flying everywhere, didn't they?
Oh god, yeah. Well, maybe it was set. It was a very, very well built set.
Yeah.
But no, it's Re-Animators, you know, still holds up to this day. And if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. And it's a lot of fun,
and it's got a really good ending, I think, as well, which we won't spoil.
No, we won't spoil that.
Really good. I must one quick thing. I did really feel sorry for the Dean. There's a lot. They got a lot of a lot of pathos in there, which is sort of, you know, drawing on the Frankenstein thing, wasn't it? You know, feeling sorry for the monster that he'd created. You know. Now, how many sequels were there to Re-Animator?
I know two.
Yeah, Bride of Re-Animator.
And Beyond Re-Animator.
Right. I think I did see Beyond Re-Animator, and everyone was obviously a lot older.
Was
Gordon involved in any of those?
No.
He'd moved on by then.
Yes, because
was Yuzna the guy? Because Yuzna went off and did Society, which I think is a great little film.
Yeah. I know Brian Yuzna did Bride of Re-Animator. I'm not sure if he did Beyond Re-Animator.
Yeah. Now, did Bride of Re-Animator actually, was it like one of these films where it just picks up immediately from where the last one ended? I can't remember for the life of me.
I don't know. I must admit, I have not seen any of the sequels, so I don't know.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, maybe that's something to put on your list.
My ever-growing list of films to watch.
Yeah, you and me
Yes.
both.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm interested in seeing them now because I really enjoyed watching this again.
What
So,
was the budget for the Re-Animator film? Just interesting enough. I'd be interested to know.
what, the original one?
Yeah, original budget.
It was under $1 million.
I mean, that's pretty damn good. You know,
Yeah.
in those times,
Yeah.
you know, under $1 million. Obviously, he's not drawing on well-known faces. Those faces became well-known in the horror genre after that, didn't they?
That's
I
right.
wonder, what was Jeffrey Combs in before? Was he one of his stage actors that he picked up or something?
Well, I think Re-Animator is his first film credit.
But he must have been acting before that.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
Yeah.
It's probably just in stuff that, you know, this was probably his breakout.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the film, and it made a mint, didn't it? And home DVD, or not DVD, VHS
Video.
It went like gangbusters, didn't it?
It did. It was a big hit for Empire.
Yeah.
So hence why Stuart Gordon was able to make From Beyond immediately afterwards.
Yeah. So that's right. I mean, that's a pretty good couple of years. You think 85 Re-Animator, 86 From Beyond, and then leading on to my movie Hell film, which was made in 1987. And apparently this film was actually shot before From Beyond in 86 and shot on some of the same sets.
When I read that, I thought that was bullshit because having a look at the location from this film and From Beyond, they just did not look the same. Maybe it was the outside of the building.
I think the sets, it's internal sets, and this was filmed in Rome. I know for a fact, and again, like the Hammer Films production, they would take a set. Apparently, there's a set of staircase that's used in Hammer Films that appears in about 10 or 20 of their films. And it's just like in different places. One time the steps would lead down to a graveyard in Plague of the Zombies. And then another one, it would be a set of steps leading up to, you know, Frankenstein, Curse of Frankenstein's laboratory or something. You know, they reused and mixed and matched sets. And I actually think that there could be some truth in that it was utilized. You know, I mean, so basically Re-Animator came out. Then he went in and made this film called Dolls. And the reason it was delayed for so long was because they had a lot of post-production effects. Now, Dolls, I watched years ago when it came out, and probably in the 80s, it didn't really strike me as being too shit. But unfortunately, due to my broadband going down and things like that, I have rewatched Dolls over about a piecemeal. I have about 5 different sessions, and to be quite honest with you, I don't think I could have watched it from beginning to end in one session.
It was a struggle.
Jesus.
It was a real struggle, and I tell you the reason why I found it a struggle. I thought the idea was very good. I just thought the main characters in it were just horrible, and it was really badly acted.
Well, let's start at the beginning, which is one of the bizarrest big openings to a film I've seen in a long time. Anyway, I know that you know, when we're as filmmakers, we're looking at a film and saying, you know, oh, we've got to make sure the audience can follow it, and you don't want to leave too many things, loose ends, because, you know, some people don't ingest all the information in such a short space of time. If you're doing a short, you know, because I haven't done a feature like you so far, so you know, short. I've only done shorts, so
yeah, give it time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, got one on the drawing board anyway. But it starts off in a like classic sort of people in the car, and there's a really foul couple, obviously, with Stuart Gordon's wife playing this real bitch who's apparently got some money. You got this, you know, what's the word? Someone who's got no testicles whatsoever, who's
henpecked,
something like that, yeah. And basically, they're in this car, and they got this young child, and you know, bless her, she did try, the young girl, to deliver the.
She was probably the best thing in it,
which is saying a lot.
I liked her. Yeah,
I couldn't stand her. You know, I don't like children at the best of times, but to see them in a film acting, especially a horror film, Which is, which is one of these things that my wife often says to me. If I said, "Oh, I've got this really great idea, there's going to be all this really horrible violence, and we need a child in it to be one of the main characters," she said, "Oh my God, what effect is that going to have on the poor things?" So I'm constantly pulled up on any ideas like that because, I mean, this film is basically a Grimm's fairy tale. It reminded me of Rocky Horror Picture Show, when there's a big storm and then they see a house. And what do? Apart from bickering and arguing in the car, their car conks out. So what do? Is pissing down the rain. Oh, let's get out into the wet and walk up to this mansion. And then there's a brief dream sequence where this girl's got a teddy bear and the bloke chucks it into the bushes. And then what is really a really good effect, actually, this fucking huge teddy bear suddenly appears. I think it rips someone's arm off, but the great effect though is you see it as like a massive teddy, and then you see this creature sort of tear its way out of the fur, and that's what rips the couple into two. And the little girl goes, "Oh, Teddy," and then you just realise it's a dream sequence. You're like, "What?" And it's the best sequence of the entire film for me.
It is. It's like, what the fuck? Because you're thinking, thank God we don't have to spend the rest of the film with this couple now.
Again,
we do.
Again, Stuart Gordon goes for it straight from the off, and that must have been his way of thinking, how can I liven up this dour thing that I'm having to make? And he does that. So they go in this house, they break in as every normal person would do, even though there's lights on or whatever. And then they get confronted by a shotgun-wielding owner, a British actor, I believe. I can't remember his name. I haven't got any details.
His name is Guy Rolfe.
Guy Rolfe, yeah. He wasn't he in a werewolf film? Wasn't he in the Hammer film?
I think he might have. He has that sort of gravitas.
Yeah, I think Guy. I only know that because I've got a Curse of the Werewolf with Oliver Reed film poster, Belgian one, and I'm sure Guy Rolfe's name is on there. And I think he was the one that maybe hunted him down and shot him at the end.
Okay. Oh, again, another film I've not seen.
What? Curse of the Werewolf with Oliver Reed?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm a lot older than you, aren't I? So I used to stay up and watch the late night horror double bills on BBC Two. Black and white, sort of 30s or 40s film, followed by a Hammer film. With all the colour and blood. So that's where I come from. Anyway, they break in and they go, "Oh, he's got this old biddy who's his wife." He goes, "Oh, very posh speaking English." One thing I omitted is when they drive by down this road at the beginning, there's some punk rockers. They go, "Oh, cool, blimey, mate, you wanker," and all this stuff. And you don't know whether it's
no, they're not just punk rockers. They're Cockney
punk rockers, which means they're obviously Americans playing English people.
No, they're not. They're not. Actually. They're
Unbelievable.
Not. One of the actresses was in EastEnders.
Really?
Yeah.
Absolutely appalling. And they got tons of makeup on, and they're all in the rain in the middle of nowhere. It's literally like me going down a farmer's field around the track and saying, "Oh yeah, there's going to be lots of people walking along this fucking road,"
or tramps who just wandered the country lanes.
So
because there seems to be a lot of those.
Yeah, so they're invited in and they're out, and the little doll. You start seeing that there's dolls everywhere, and I think the old geezer Mr. Rolfe gives the young girl a punch and Judy puppet because teddy bear.
That's right. Because the young girl's name is
Judy.
Judy. Yes.
And they're sitting around a table having. I think they're going to have some food or something, and then literally some geezer just walks in through the French windows with these two punk girls with him, and he's an American who looks like the guy from The Thing that had the heart attack.
Oh, right, but it's not
him.
Do you not recognise him?
No. Well, I know he's been in some other things.
Oh,
Go
right.
on, tell us.
He is the turncoat cop in RoboCop 2. He's the one that RoboCop beats up in the arcade.
Well, obviously not a big impression made on me on that.
Oh, come on! But the best bit when Kane and his gang capture him and they split him down the middle with a scalpel.
Oh, do you know what? I can't even remember RoboCop 2. It's been that long.
Well, Well, that's where I recognised him from, and I think this is probably his biggest role he's ever had as the lead in this film.
Well, he was okay. He comes in as this mild, nice, friendly American chap who rescues these horrible Cockneys from the rain, and then basically the guy who owns the house says, "Yeah, fine, join in, and we'll all put you in separate rooms, and you can have a jolly, stay out of the weather." And they say, "Well, the weather's like that round here," and it's all very gothic. It's a very gothic fairy tale type atmosphere, and the little girl sees she says she sees the little people or whatever, and they're these,
that's right,
the dolls are animated, and then the horrible woman just gets more horrible, and there's a lot of pouncing around the house with the lightning going off, and they're going around with these candles which are incredible. They have a candelabra, and no matter how much they run, the lights do not go out on these candles.
Unless they need them to go out. There's a couple of times when they did go out, just so that they can go into pitch black darkness, so the dolls could run about and do their thing. And it takes ages before one of the punk girls goes off and she gets attacked by these dolls, and they sort of basically run her into the skirting board. That was nasty. You thought it was nasty? I thought it was rubbish. I thought that was absolute. No, that was quite nasty. Her face every time they rammed her into the siding there was just more sort of claret, more done in. I mean, no, I thought the effects in this was really good. Yeah, and the effects were good. There's some nice moments in it. It's just, unfortunately, it was just the characters in it were just really, really horrible. And as you say, it's kind of like a Hans Christensen story where bad things happen to bad people. Correct. That was the whole theme of the film, wasn't it? But the problem was there was nothing that likable about them. There was nothing that would make you want to watch them. No. And I have to thank God this is his shortest film. It came in at 83 minutes. Thank fuck. Yeah, the dialogue was appalling. There's a number of things where they find this punk girl upstairs, and what is quite good is she's in the corner, a friend finds her, and these fake dolly eyeballs roll out of her that's face. Right, yeah. And you can see that it's like black where her eyes were. Yeah. They're just black holes. Yeah, they didn't actually gouge her eyes out, Simon. Do you know what I mean? They didn't. Oh, they refrained from doing that, even though gouging my own eyes out when I was watching this film. Yeah, you and me both. And then what happens is the real bitch of the piece. She gets assaulted, and what's quite funny, she looks down and there's one of them with a hacksaw sawing through her leg. Oh god, yeah. And the dolly effects are quite good. There's a mixture of practical and a lot of stop motion. And to be fair, they had some scenes where the dolls they look round and they're making these really creepy smiles. So I can understand some people really love this film, and they're the sort of people who are freaked out by dolls, just like some people are freaked out by clowns and things. But I'm neither of those. Well, as I said, this is actually a very good idea for a story, because the American guy, actor's name called Stephen Lee. Yeah. He tells a story about how his father used to tell him that his toys would come alive when he went to sleep. And my father told me a similar story. And it used to, freak me out a little bit. But it's a good idea because, I mean, look at Toy Story. Toy Story is exactly the same. The toys come alive when the children or the parents aren't in the room. It's just Toy Story's, a much lighter version of this. I think the execution and the script and the whole premise for the film could have been a lot better. Yeah, it felt rushed. It really did feel rushed. It felt, I mean, as you say, it was a film that they shot in between Re-Animator and From Beyond. So they must have done it in a very short amount of time. And I think also with the script writing. Well, they probably took a year, because if you got 85 for Re-Animator. Well, no, because I'm saying Re-Animator and From Beyond, of course, 85, 86. Because 86 but they shot this. They shot this in between the two of them. So I think conception, shooting it was just very quick. And I have to say the choice of actors in it as the sort of these characters, these bad characters who are going to be punished, they were fucking awful. I don't think the actors themselves were pretty
bad. I mean, I think Rolf was good.
The father, he was horrible.
He was rubbish.
He was rubbish. I have to say, Stuart Gordon's wife was terrible. She came off as a bitch, but it's just nothing. There was nothing about her that would make you want to watch her. She's not like watching. I'm trying to think of somebody off the top of my head, like Cruella de Vil.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's the kind of character they're going for.
It was a bit campy.
And Cruella de Vil is, you know, you can watch her as a villain. This woman, it's just horrible to watch. And as you say, the two punks,
the young girls doing that. Yeah, I mean, that was appalling. I mean, where someone got, I mean, they're trying to. I think maybe they got Guy Rolfe to act, and they thought, oh, let's set this in England, so then we'll get some English. You know, punk. What's English at the moment? Oh, punk's very English. We'll throw them in there.
What? Back in '86, it wasn't that English. I mean, punk had sort of came and went. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you saw the odd one, but it wasn't like the height of punk.
No.
But I have to say though, I did quite like the way the second punk got killed, because she was really kicking ass up to that point. I mean, she was breaking all those dolls.
She got done by a firing squad of toy soldiers.
That's right. But I'm saying up to that point, she was smashing those dolls, and you could see like their little skeletons underneath.
Well, that was good.
Really creepy.
That reminded me of a film called Asylum by Amicus, where they had one of the stories where Herbert Lom made this toy robot and he controlled it using his mind, and then it got squished, and as it got stamped on, because he'd linked himself with this creature, whatever happened to the robot happened to him, and you saw these guts oozing out, and that was much better for me. Much more of a fun story. Have you never seen that?
No. Again,
Asylum. That's a great portmanteau film where this guy goes around this asylum and each person has a freaky story to tell that sent them insane.
Yeah.
That's a really good film. That's a great Amicus film.
Actually, when you bring up the point of going insane, I just want to say something about the end of From Beyond. And I wanted to say this earlier, but I'm going to say it now. Did you buy the fact that she goes crazy at the end? Because I didn't. I thought that was that was not really, I just didn't make any sense to me.
Well, she
would go through all that and she'd turn out crazy.
Well, maybe it's just the fact that you haven't been attacked by Dr. Botoris in your own home, you know, where he's trying to, eat your mind and abuse you with all slime all over him and tentacles coming out of people's foreheads, Simon. If you saw that, maybe you go fucking crackers. Do you know what I mean? I think I might.
Well, I mean, why I'm saying that is because I've seen so many films where women survive, you know, horror films, and none of them go crazy. Yes, they have their problems, but they don't go immediately nuts like that.
Maybe it was the fact that she was submitted to she was subjected to all of that, the resonator, and it altered her perception slightly. You could easily argue that. But back to dolls. The reason the film wasn't released till '87 was because they spent another year in post-production with all the animation, because there's I mean, you know, there's a lot of dolls to animate. Imagine you have a row of like 20 dolls on the floor, and each one has to make an expression, move an arm or something. It must have taken them forever to do that, and that was definitely done by an Italian crew.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was shot in camera, but yeah, it was all the stuff of the moving that was sort of animation.
It reminded me of Chucky, you know, in Child's Play. And I don't know whether any of the guys were involved in the effects for that, but it had a bit of a Chucky-esque look to it. Obviously, he's a doll as well. It did a bit,
but remember, though, Chucky also had a little person running around in the suit as well. So
yeah, that's fair enough.
Watching that now, that just makes me laugh, because you can clearly see it's a little person in a suit.
One of Peter Dinklage's first roles, apparently. No, I'm only joking.
Chucky.
So
have you seen Peter Dinklage's actual first role?
No.
It's a film called Living in Oblivion. You'd love it. It's about low independence. Sorry?
Is it a porn film?
No, it's not a porn film. It's about low budget filmmaking. You'd love it.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
I like films.
Search it out. Living in Oblivion. It's got Peter Dinklage in it, Steve Buscemi,
right.
Catherine Keener. It's really good, and you know, you'll enjoy it just from the being in that situation of like making films with other people.
All right. Well, so basically, the film then ends on this note where it's like it's got this sort of wraparound thing. So as the young girl and the American survive, oh yeah, the good thing, what was quite cool was where the man, father of the young child, was turned into mutated using this doll maker's process of whatever into like a Mr. Punch, wasn't he? He was mutated, and so he became, because Mr. Punch got destroyed by him, and then they turned him into the new Mr. Punch, didn't they?
Well, we've forgotten to talk about Guy Rolfe's wife in it, Hilary Mason. She's she's not his wife, but in the film she plays the character of his wife, and she's the witch. She's the one who turns people into dolls, because that's the thing, is that these four nasty people in the end are turned into dolls.
Yeah.
Even though they are killed in quite horrible ways.
They look quite good, the dolls, at the end, actually, as
well.
Yes,
they did. They actually looked like the actors,
Yeah. Maybe they should have got the dolls to do the acting instead of them. But, I know that she's actually appears in what will be in a second, your choice for the movie Hell. But anyway, so Dolls ends with this wraparound where they depart, and then you see another car conking out. So it's like their little web where basically anyone who's driving in the middle of nowhere in a car suddenly conks out, has to go to the house, and then they gain a collection of dolls, and because they're old people, I suppose it's inferred that basically they've been collecting these people for donkey's years. And all the dolls in there are victims of people that have disappeared from the highway.
Yeah, it's just not normal people. They're bad people. I mean, even the car that breaks down at the end, the father in it, you can hear is shouting at the kids. So you know, it's only bad people who break down and have to visit this house.
Overall, the film for me was just too long-winded. The characters I didn't really care about. There were some nice, effects and things like that. And if you're into dolls, you might rate it as really highly. But looking back on it now, I can't stand it. And really, it didn't have all of the things that I like in a Stuart Gordon film, which is the twisted, perverse elements to it, and all the awesome, Jeffrey Combs and the amazing effects. Even though there were some good effects, they just were not at the same level for me at all. It was.
I also have to add, the music was just so overcooked. I was just literally all the time, and it just was annoying me.
Yeah,
I think Dolls is actually a film I think you could remake, and you could probably make it a lot better.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing it with Action Man. Yeah, but that would be then Small Soldiers, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it would be a cool Small Soldiers, though.
The other thing is, Stuart Gordon hasn't made he's done a few films, but I've not actually seen a lot of his other films. So when it came to choosing movie Hell, it was a bit difficult. I want to see King of Ants or something.
Oh, okay.
I want to see that. I want to track that down. There's one called Dagon, where you return to Lovecraft as well. And to be fair, I can't actually say I've seen a lot of his other works, really.
I like Fortress. Fortress
is good, yeah. Christopher Lambert.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. I didn't realise he directed it.
Yeah, that's actually a step up in terms of budget, I suppose. And
and it was just it was like
less of an independent film, more of a big Hollywood budget film, wasn't it?
I wouldn't say it was like big budget, but it looks bigger than its actual budget. I mean, I really enjoyed Fortress, and I also did the remake of The Pit and the Pendulum.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was good. Jeffrey Combs was in that, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing that was missing from Dolls. There was no Jeffrey Combs cameo or appearance in it at all. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why it didn't work well. But unfortunately, my pick for movie Hell did have a Jeffrey Combs cameo in it, and that is ROBOT JOX.
Yes. Film that when you told me you were going to choose that, I said, I thought that was all right. But then I've watched it again since then.
Yes.
Now, when did this come out?
All right, let me tell you a story. I remember seeing the trailer for this on a video I rented,
Me
and I thought
too.
this looked like the best thing ever. Robots fighting each other.
Yeah,
I mean, it
amazing.
came out about, I think it came out
89.
around the same time, 89. So it's about the time of Transformers. So, you know, we had like the cartoon version of that, but we were going to get like a live action one. Massive robots fighting each other.
No, and to that day, I don't think there'd been any other sort of robots fighting movies, had there? Except probably in Japan, maybe.
Yeah. But the thing for me was this looked like it was going to be a battle royale. I mean, the trailer made it look like there was going to be all these battles in there.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, and I thought, yeah, this is going to be great. So as soon as it came out for rental, I was there. I got it. And, you know, straight away, you're thrown into the action. You see, like, the American being killed off by the Russian being destroyed. And you think, yeah, this is fucking hardcore. It's a PG, but it's hardcore. It's going to be great. And then you have to wait 20 minutes or so waiting for Achilles to get into his... And so you get to meet Achilles, who's their champion. He's fought, 9 battles, and this is going to be his 10th battle.
He's a typical low-rent action, low-budget action actor, isn't he?
Yeah. I'll tell you his name. It's Gary Graham.
Who
actually I thought was very good in the Alienation TV series.
Yeah, well, I didn't see that, but I remember seeing the original film Alienation. Wasn't James Caan in that?
It was James Caan in it, yeah.
Yeah, I like that film.
And Mandy Patinkin.
Who directed that?
I don't know.
Shit, caught you out. No, catch you out.
But anyway,
you've got your IMDb up on your screen, then you're thinking, "Oh, damn it, he's caught me out." I don't know either.
Well, I'm here to talk about ROBOT
Alienation
JOX.
was a pretty cool idea on like race and equality, and
I enjoyed Alienation. I mean, it was great to sort of see a cop film where they had like aliens had come to Earth, and it was kind of done in a realistic way.
I never saw the TV series. I didn't even know they had a TV series.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. They also had like TV movies made of it as well. So.
All right.
But yeah, Gary Graham was in that, taken over from James Caan. It was very good in that.
So back to the trailer. You're looking at this trailer and you're going, "This looks the bollocks."
I'm talking about the film, and the film was, you know, so you had this whole thing where, you know, the Robo Jocks, they're fighting for territory. There's no more wars. They duke it out, you know, in arenas with these giant robots, which is very much like Rollerball.
One of my favourite science fiction films of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I've just got on Blu-ray again, which looks awesome. They've just released it on Blu-ray. I haven't watched it yet, but I looked at some of the behind the scenes. It's a fucking awesome film, that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like Rollerball. I think it's a great film, and they obviously borrowed the idea of that for this film, and then threw in the whole sort of Greek mythology with Achilles. And, I don't know where Tex comes into it. So you got this character, this sort of, "Hi, ma'am, I'm Texan."
He's wearing a bloody hat all the time.
Yeah.
What's the matter with him?
I don't know, but it's like you have all these names like Achilles and Athena, and then you got Tex.
Now the bad guy's pretty good in this, isn't he?
Oh,
the Russian.
I have to say his delivery is great, because his lines are awful. They have this bit where they're facing off at like in a press conference, and he goes, "I will kill you to death."
Yeah, classic line.
It's just like, what the fuck? Somebody actually wrote that? "I'm gonna kill you to death."
Someone actually said it on film.
Somebody actually said it. I was able to sell it. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, you get to sort of see the Robo Jocks in training, because they got these characters. They're like test tube humans that they refer to as tubies.
Well, they were definitely conceived in the 80s, judging by their hairstyles.
Yeah.
You know, big coloured buttons and and things like that, and all the controls and all the. They're trying to make it. That's the trouble when you're on low budget, making science fiction look reasonable.
I have to say, I thought the ROBOT JOX suits looked really good. Actually, it's kind of like what you would imagine it would look like.
Well, in reality, the actual ones they used were 5 foot tall. The actual ones they had to animate.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the actual robots. I'm talking about the suits the ROBOT JOX actually had to wear.
Oh yeah.
You know, because they've got all the wires and stuff, and they're all hooked up so that their movements are transmitted to the robot. And
it's a good idea. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like that Achilles has got the Nintendo Power Gloves on both hands, you know, to control this robot. But hey, why not? You know,
yeah.
This is the thing. The production design generally was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, the robots look pretty kick-ass as well. It's just the story was shit.
I mean, the thing is, this was a $10 million production, so they had the budget.
Yeah, but the problem is that you've got this whole stupid story about them trying to find a traitor within, when what it should have been about was, you know, it should have been about robots fighting robots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so you have this first battle between Achilles and Alexander, who's the Russian, who will kill you to death. And of course, what happens is he does an illegal move with a fist that fires out when they're not supposed to be able to use weapons.
There's a secret weapon that one side is meant to have, a green laser or something, and then they have it as well. That's part of the conspiracy.
Well, yeah, but I'm going to get onto it. I think that's the stupid part. I mean, so you know, this thing's going out of control and it's going towards the audience because they've actually got people sitting there. They've actually got bleachers. I think they actually refer to him as bleacher bums. So there you go. It's called back to his first TV movie.
Yeah.
And of course, Achilles gets in the way, and of course, this flying fist knocks him to the ground, and of course, he kills them all.
Yeah, he falls on the throng that's watching it. His robot falls down and goes smash, kills kids and everything.
That's it. And so he's haunted by that.
Yeah.
But then you've got this whole thing then with, you know, they're trying to find out who the traitor is. They know there's a traitor been there all the time. And so you got that going on. Also, you got Achilles. He's quit because the match didn't count as his last one. You know, he's supposed to do 10.
And they're fighting for control of Alaska, by the way, aren't they?
Yeah.
Alaska.
But I mean, but I think at the end of the day, it's that you know, that sort of fact just really doesn't.
It doesn't add anything, does it?
Anything to it? No. There's no sort of threat or anything.
No.
It's, you know, you're not feeling fucking it. There's no sort of what's the word I'm trying to think? Stakes. I mean, the stakes really aren't that high.
It is a PG, isn't it? This film.
It is. It's this weird film where it's kind of like it's trying to sort of be realistic and a kids' film at the same time.
Well, this is the problems that they had, wasn't it? Because Stuart Gordon clashed with the sci-fi writer Haldeman. And Joe Haldeman wanted it to be more serious science fiction, and Stuart Gordon wanted to liven it up, make it a bit more stereotypical, and come out with cheese. He wanted to add a lot more fromage than the Haldeman wanted.
Oh, it was a lot of fromage in it. So there is like a good, I don't know, it's at least half an hour. Where there is no robots fighting.
I know, how tedious.
Yeah, so the whole thing is so all the sort of tubies cadets sort of duke it out to you know, to pick one of them to replace Achilles, and how they do this is the climbing frame of death.
Nice. Everyone should have one. In every child's school should have one.
It's shaking, and it's like different bars have different threats. Some are heated, some are frozen, some will fall off. You know, some will produce gas, all this kind of stuff. And you have to reach the top and go through a hole at the end. And Athena is the winner. And of course, Achilles has got a major crush on this girl. And so he decides to come back out of retirement so that she won't fight in his place. She's not happy about this, so she drugs him, and then they have a fight, and then she locks him in the room, and then goes out to battle Alexander in his place.
And hopefully she gets a good old ass whooping.
She gets a massive ass whooping. I mean, Alexander's too much for this girl. But so in the middle of this, it turns out that Tex was the traitor all along.
Well, of course he is. He's wearing a stupid hat indoors all the time. It's obvious.
Yeah. And of course, he kills the professor who's, he's the one who creates
the Japanese fella.
The Japanese fella.
What was his motivation, by the way, for being
I don't know.
That's bad, isn't it? They don't even give him any motivation for doing it. This is money.
I think it might have been money. I don't know. I mean, it was the fact that he, they set it up that he won against this bigger robot. They had no chance, and it was just like a lucky shot that he got.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I remember
but there was a crack in the actual robot suit, and for him to actually shoot his laser at that exact point, he would have needed to know that in the first place.
Yeah. That was the clue.
I mean, it's dealt with so quickly when it's revealed when the robots enters the arena. There's a video showing Athena, the secret weapon this robot has now, and which is a very bright light.
Nice, very dangerous bright lights. Look at Gremlins didn't like bright lights.
No, they did not. Gremlins don't like bright lights.
Bright light.
Unfortunately, she wasn't fighting a gremlin. She was fighting a big Russian who was able to shake it off very quickly.
So drawing this,
but I just want to say about Tex. But Tex. So he's found out. What does he do? He jumps out the window, and that's it.
Maybe he thought he was going to land on a horse below, and it wasn't there.
I think the horse might have moved because he goes splat.
Yeah.
That just again didn't bring anything to it. So, okay, so the two robots fight. Athena gets her ass kicked. Achilles goes out there, and Alexander's about to squish the robot, and Achilles says the best line in the whole film. It's like, I'm going to get in this machine and I'm going to kick your ass.
There we go. Cheese.
Absolutely. And then we get what was in the trailer, all the sort of robot fighting. Going out into space where, Achilles gets shot in the heel.
Oh, wow. That's an amazing sort of riff on his name, isn't it?
Yes, who would have thought it, hey? So, yeah, they fight, and Achilles' robot gets damaged beyond repair. And so he jumps out the machine, and Alexander's still chasing after him, and he's able to use the flying fist from before to knock Alexander's robot over.
So Alexander's trying to fist Achilles.
No, Achilles is trying to fist Alexander.
Oh, sorry, the fisting is...
Actually, it's actually, you know what? I know you're making this a joke, but the end of the film, the last shot of the film, is the two of them fist bumping.
Oh, excellent. Nice. They actually like each other.
Yeah, that was such a what the fuck ending. I mean, absolutely. So they're trying to kill each other, and Achilles makes this speech about, we don't have to do this. We're robot jocks. We're better than this. And Alexander, who's wanted to kill him to death throughout the whole film, suddenly has a change of heart, and they're best buddies, and they fist bump, and that's the end.
Amazing.
Whoa, God. I mean, I remember when I watched this, I was so bloody disappointed. I thought,
me too.
What the hell? And now as an adult, it's even worse. It's such a bad film.
And not only that, this is the film that basically bankrupted Charles Band and Empire Pictures. It pretty much bankrupted them. 10 million. If you think all their films have been like $1 million or less, and then they splurge all this money on robot jocks, and it turns out to be such a dire piece of crap. Yeah. I mean, they did do well with, like, marketing and things like that, but I'm sure they didn't. That's a lot of money even back then, even now. But back then, it would have been a big.
Yeah.
They were out on a limb on that one.
Yeah, it was a gamble that didn't pay off. I mean, it's very much like canon with Masters of the Universe, because that was the film that really sort of they spent so much money into. They put so much money into that film that it more or less bankrupt.
Yeah,
I think they were only made. I know they made Cyborg after that, and I know maybe one other film, and that was it. That was canon gone.
Stick to what you're good at. That's what I say.
Well, but I was going to say, when Canon went down, it was a big deal here because they owned the cinema chain.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of cinemas, local cinemas, that went down.
They bought up a lot of the ABCs, didn't they?
That's right.
Yeah.
So when they went under, a lot of those cinemas disappeared.
Yeah.
I mean, I had two in my area. I had one in Edgware and in Hendon.
Yeah, I went to both of those, yeah.
Now, the Edgware one, for a while, was an Indian cinema.
Oh, I might have gone there before you were born, maybe. When they were cinemas.
Well, it became an Indian cinema in the 90s. I mean, they still showed Hollywood films there for a while, but their bread and butter were
Bollywood.
All sort of the Bollywood. But the one in Hendon, it never recovered. It went under. And
I saw Diamonds Are Forever in that cinema when I was about,
I
don't know, 10 or something.
Okay. I bet you the floors were still sticky then.
Funnily enough, my feet probably didn't touch the floor. They're probably hanging off the edge of the seat at that age. Yeah. So yeah, Robot JOX, a lot of money. The effects of what they were, the robots. I mean, my wife said, "Oh, that looked really good." And I said, "You're kidding me? It's a pile of shit." But she seems keen on watching it, so we might put it on sometime. So I might be subjected to it again.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mind the effects of the robots. It's just the problem was it's again, it just came down to story.
Very Jerry Anderson, wasn't it?
Yeah, I have to say I thought the effects work for the time was really good. It's just unfortunate that it's just the story was pretty shit.
Yeah,
and you just didn't really care. You were just sort of, it was trailer fodder because it looked really great in the trailer, but when you watch the film, you're like, oh,
well, they still had to spend a lot of money on the sets. Like when he first gets into the robot and he's walking through this big thing, and there's got people like in the Star Wars hanging around,
all going crash and burn.
Yeah, well, that was the name of the sequel, wasn't it? Crash and Burn. That was ROBO JOX 2.
No, well, this is the thing. That was another film that just happened to have robots in it.
They called
it. Decided to call it ROBO JOX 2 or Crash and Burn just to sort of tie it in with the other film. Because again, if you thought there was very little robot action in Robot JOX, there's even less in Crash and Burn.
And people moan about the Transformers movies.
Well, we moan about the Transformers movies because, at the end of the day, you can't tell what's going on.
Well, I still like them. The first one, I think, is the best one for me.
Oh, I'm glad that somebody likes
I do, actually. Fucking awesome when you see them, Bumblebee rolling around all the Decepticons. I'm like, cool. That was a cool film. I don't care what anyone says. I liked it.
Those Autobots, they do have a problem. They just can't stand still for a second. They're always rolling around.
I know.
They just have this problem with gravity. They just always falling down and rolling and stuff.
They still look the bollocks though. When you see them,
But then when it comes to storytelling, I prefer the cartoon over the live action ones.
I didn't really see the cartoon, so I suppose in a way I've inspired. It's like Lord of the Rings. Didn't read the books, but I like the films.
Yeah. Oh, I like the films as well. I thought the films were really good, and I've not read the book. But But yeah. Well, I would sort of highly recommend avoiding Robot JOX.
They've released them on Blu-ray,
I know. Scream Factory's brought it out.
There's some people out there that love this film, but it's great. If there's a film that was part of your childhood and growing up and you've got a soft spot for it, I'm not knocking you at all.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I'm just not one of them. For me, it's a film that I didn't like as a kid, and it's gotten worse over time.
It was a letdown, wasn't it? From the trailer promised so much,
letdown.
and the final product, like in a lot of films, even today, it's nothing new. They're very good at marketing what they've got.
Well, yeah, they put a lot of money into it. They had to sell it, and they knew they weren't going to sell it on word of mouth alone.
Shit or bust it was for them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it was shit.
Yeah, and bust at the same time. Right, Simon, it's been very, very good fun. I've enjoyed this talk. It's been very good, and I think we need to track down some more Stuart Gordon's films, just hopefully in the vein sort of attempt that he can really capture the genie in the bottle that he did with his first sort of films. Because
well, there is one other film of his I have seen, and I would say avoid like the plague, and that's Space Truckers.
Yes,
because that's not very good.
I think he obviously excels with Jeffrey Combs and horror and gore and slime and creatures
and H.P. Lovecraft.
That's his forte.
Yeah,
and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, because he must have made a lot of money off of that, writing that.
Maybe. I mean, there's a whole lot of talk about how he was, he was actually, he was never credited for it, and he was actually sort of he wasn't included in the whole making of it and stuff like that.
The only time I saw his name recently, which was a few years ago, probably about 5 years ago, was a film called Stuck, and it's based upon a true story where someone runs someone over and the body got stuck through the windscreen. And the story was based on the fact that this person then just parked the car in the garage and left the body in there because they didn't know what to do with it. But then, then the film Stuck then carries. It's got Mia Sorvino in it, I think. I don't know whether I've said that right, but apparently the story of this film is that the person is still alive, but he's stuck in the fucking windscreen, and she's dry. I don't know. I've not seen it. It's meant to be quite good. Stuck.
It sounds very much like there was a film out a couple of years ago, very much like that, where there was a guy stuck in the windscreen of a car, but this was out in the street.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But no, that sounds like quite an interesting film. I'm just looking at it now. It's got Stephen Rea in it.
Yeah.
Which that's not too shabby.
No,
and it's got his wife in it as well.
Yeah, it was a fairly reasonable budget thing. I mean, I mean, we do like indie filmmakers who have made good, and you can still see they make use of the sets and everything, and we like that as amateur film or whatever filmmakers ourselves. It's like it's good to see people struggling and making the best of what they can do and come out with something nice at the end of it. It's really positive. That's why we do it, it's very inspiring. Yeah.
We always sort of wrap up with letting the audience know how people can sort of see your work. So
apocalypticconservatory.com is my new website. Apocalyptic Conservatory, one word, .com, and you can see pretty much everything I've made so far on there. There's links and news. There's even a link to Simon's website, which is
independentrunnings.com.
There you go. So there you go.
I'll put a link in the description notes for this podcast. Are you on YouTube?
Yes, I am on YouTube. Mike Tack Films is what you got to type, and that should lead you to my nasty vault of horror and general nastiness that's available on the internet. So,
and are you on Twitter?
Yes, I am. Mike, what was it? Mike Tack Films. I'm on Twitter, but there's links on my website. If you go to apocalypticconservatory.com, you'll find Facebook links to our page and all that stuff, and you can say hi or whatever. And hopefully you'll like what we've done and like what Simon's done. Sans Sous Tout is my favourite Simon film. Without subtitles. Great film.
So don't forget, you can follow this podcast on our Facebook page, which is Movie Heaven, Movie Hell. We also got Twitter, which is at Movie Heaven Hell. And Keith will be back for our next podcast, where we'll be doing H.
H.
Who could it be?